Welcome everyone to PrairieGirlRocks. Today we're going to cut some meteorites, cut and polish these meteorites. I picked these up at the Trex Gem Shop in Bynum, Montana. I'm so glad that they just have some, unclassified NWA meteorites for sale there. It's a great way to get people introduced to meteorites. So there's a couple little features like this 3D chondrule. I'm pretty sure it's a chondrule, not a metal bleb. So we're gonna try to look at these and decide how will be the best way to cut these to save cute little features like that. Otherwise, they're pretty ordinary. Nothing really too pretty about them. This one's pretty weathered, you can see, and there are some weathering cracks and things, but there's some desert sand stuck in here and stuff. So, try to maybe cut this one straight down the middle or something and see if we can get two nice halves out of it. I don't expect these to be overly beautiful or anything, but they're nice little samples to have for a starter collection. Great little pieces. These will be super affordable even when cut and polished. And this one, I was gonna cut and polish this one, but it's got such a neat oriented shape with this nice little rollover on the back side, especially right here, that I just don't know if I can cut it. It's kind of a nice little specimen. Great little rollover. I didn't realize it as I pulled it out of the bowl. I didn't pick it because of that. I picked it because it was kind of a nice size and there's not a lot of weathering cracks or anything that run through this piece, and I thought it would be good to cut, much like this piece here. It's a good one to little cut and polish, right? That one's kind of got a crack. Hopefully it's not a big deal. But yeah, once I got that one home and looked at it, I was like, I cannot cut that. But the rest of these we will. We'll cut and polish these. So I think first though, let's have a look. We can see that these are ordinary chondrites just by looking at them, but we don't really see any chondrules or anything through all this desert varnish and weathering and things. However, when we look at these through cross-polarized light, we do in fact see through that desert varnish, and we can see some of the chondrules in there. So we'll pop one of these under the microscope real quick, have a look at it, and then we'll get to cutting, and then we'll circle back around and look underneath the microscope again when we have some cut and polished surfaces to look at. So buckle up, get ready. That's what we're doing today. That's the explanation of how I got these meteorites and what the plan is with them, and that's what we're gonna do today. So hopefully you enjoy this, and hopefully they're not totally ugly inside. I think they're gonna be pretty ordinary, but hopefully they're not too ordinary. This is the smallest piece of meteorite, and as you can see in here, there are in fact tons of chondrules. There's a little armored chondrule there. There's an orange chondrule. There's one with a little black outline. There's one with a white outline. Oh, the phone's trying to autofocus. There's a chondrule, there's a chondrule. Yeah, we already pointed that one out. I mean, they're in there all over. Like, each one of these little tiny specks is a chondrule. That one, that one, that one, that one. Yeah, a couple of nice ones in there. And again, that's under cross-polarized light. So that is, when we look at this meteorite with our naked eye, because it's kind of got that desert varnish on it, that desert varnish makes a lot of light reflection. Makes it really hard to see if, there's chondrules in this meteorite or not. And as soon as we put it under cross-polarized light, we remove all of that light reflecting back in our eye, and now we can see through that desert varnish and see some of the chondrules in this meteorite. Let's have a look at another piece. Oh yeah. Lots and lots of little chondrules just peppered in there. See that bleb? See, you can see that little 3D bleb. I had guessed that it would probably be a chondrule instead of a metal bleb. Let's see if we can get it to focus a little bit. And it is in fact a chondrule, a very large chondrule. We go. Cool. I hope there's more big chondrules through this thing. And let's look at the last one, the biggest one. This one's got all of the sand stuck in the cracks. Oh man, there's some cool chondrules in there. There's one right there. I mean, they're there. There's one there. There's one right next to it. There's one there. There's one there. They're everywhere in there. Some more sand. Sand down in the crack in there, and then more chondrules. Boop, 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 boop. There's definitely some fun little chondrules in there. There's tons of them, man. They're just packed. That's a nice one right there. They're just packed in there, shoulder to shoulder with each other. They're not maybe the most beautiful chondrules I've ever seen, but they are aplenty in here. Hopefully we get a couple little metal blebs too. Hopefully this isn't too terribly shocked and the metal's just melt veined in here. I mean, those are nice meteorites and stuff, but it would be cool if there was some chondrules and some metal blebs in here. So we'll find out though when we get her cut. As of now, I can't really tell. It's definitely got chondrules in it. It's definitely an ordinary chondrite. How much metal or shock or melt or any of that stuff is going on in there right now, I'm not super sure. We will find out more when we cut it. There's the really weathered side. More caliche stuck on there. And there's the desert varnished side. It's just been blasted by sand and wind and sun and weather and okay. Next time I see you, we'll be at the saw getting ready to cut these in half. Boop. All right, I've got this meteorite lined up here in the saw so that it'll hopefully kind of come through this thickest part here. And we're ready to I'm just gonna cut it in half and polish both sides. Hopefully it stays into two solid pieces and doesn't break into lots of mini little pieces, but we're gonna find out. Here we go. lovely inside. Not too many cracks. I mean, the one big one, but it's still a, you know, solid piece, and plenty of little visible metal pieces in there. That's wonderful. That's going to take a great polish. I love that. Let's get the other half out. What a wonderful little piece. This one's got that neat little 3D chondrule, so we're going to try to not cut the 3D chondrule, but I am going to try to come this direction across this meteorite. So we have two like triangle shaped paths. Oh, cool. Oh, there's tons of metal in that one. That one's fun. I like that one. That's great. Love that. And last but not least, this little guy, and we'll just snip him right in half. He was a little harder than the other two. Just a little. There you go. Nice. So much good metal in those. Those are wonderful. Those are going to be wonderful to polish. I am so excited about these. All right, we'll dry everything off and we'll get it ready for polish. All right, we're moving on to the next grit. I'll probably hang quite a while here too with these pieces, just to make sure I've got all the scratches out from the 180. And from here, I'll probably start to speed things up a little bit after this wheel, but this one I'll be spending quite a bit of time on as well. And just keep working them through the process. Well, that was one piece, and I was polishing it, but it has obviously broken into two pieces, which is fine. Two for the price of one. But now I have to polish them separately. That was kind of nice when they were stuck together and I could polish them as one piece. But yeah, I felt a little bit of plucking and I can kind of see the little pieces. There's a little piece. And it just fell apart. So like I say, we'll finish polishing this as two separate pieces now is all. But it's coming right along, looking really nice. So just working my way through the grits here. Let's see, we're at the following. We just did 220 purple. We're at 325 brown. And like I say, we started 180. So just working our way down. They're starting to come along. They still have a quite rough look to them, but they are starting to kind of get a polish. The metal's starting to take a little bit of a polish. So we'll just keep going. They're going to be super pretty when they're done. I'm excited. We had one more blowout on that last wheel. This little piece was up in there and it came out. So that's okay. I'm probably not going to hand polish that little piece any more than it already is polished. But there's a tiny little freebie, a little sample for somebody. And we are moving right through. We are progressing right on through up to the red wheel now. And things are starting to look a lot less dull and a lot more shiny. So making progress, and we'll just keep moving along. All right, coming along really nicely and down to the last grit here. These really turned out beautifully. I'm so happy. Look at all the gorgeous metal in there. Tons of chondrites in there still too. I'm not going to kid you guys. I really duffed that one up. I really need to go back and get that. There's a big flat spot in there. Rough spot. It is gettable. I just totally missed it in the polish. So go back and get that one. But otherwise, they all turned out very nice. This little tiny piece fell out right there. Boop, boop, somewhere in there. And then, of course, this piece broke. Darn pretty. And the littlest ones. This one did a lot of plucking out of the middle. But all in all, it still turned out to be a really nice piece. You could see that little kind of weathered spot down in there. It plucked right on out of there. What nice little meteorites, though. They've got such lovely metal in them. All right, there's just one thing left to do, and that is to look at it now underneath the microscope. Now that we've bisected and polished all the chondrites, let's have a look at them now under the microscope. See what we can see. Oh, cool. Oh my goodness, yes. Look at that little chondrite right there. Look at them all. They're so cool. Oh, look at them all. It's such a gorgeous piece. See where the metal sort of outlines some of these little chondrules over here on the edge. Super cool. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at the long skinny one. Definitely the same material. They're definitely the same fall. Pieces of the same meteorite. Oh, how wonderful. This is the one that had the 3D chondrule on it too. Boop, there it is. And then let's go ahead and look at the little one too. Look at all that lovely metal in there. Look at it all. It's so wonderful. What a cool meteorite. I'm so glad I cut and polished that. Oh, that chondrule down there just makes my heart sing. Little green one. Ooh. Oh, I love it. All the orange stuff in there is weathering, rusting and weathering. Seeping in, there must be a crack right there. Yep, seeping into that crack. So cool. Oh, I'm so glad we cut this. How cool. Little lovelies. All right. I could look all day. You guys know I could look all day. Here's the one I duffed up. What a cool piece. Yep, we'll go through and fix that. Get rid of that spot that I completely missed. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 large pieces of a meteorite, and this one itsy bitsy tiny one. It's small, but it's mighty. What a wonderful little meteorite. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's always cool to be the first ones to get to see what the inside of a meteorite looks like. Again, this is just an unclassified, ordinary chondrite. Obviously an NWA with all of the sand that's stuck in the cracks, but it doesn't need to be classified. It doesn't look like anything exceptional, and not classifying it keeps the price reasonable. Makes it a great little starter piece for anybody's collection. or a nice little addition if you don't have a piece that represents the good metal in there. And again, this is a stony. Just because it has the iron bits in it does not mean it's a stony iron. That's a palisite. This is not a palisite. This is just a stony, an ordinary chondrite. So, I know a lot of you already know that, but there's a few people out there who I've heard misuse the words, mix them up and misuse them. So, what a great little ordinary chondrite. I love it. Hopefully you do too. If you do, be sure to hit that button so you get to see more stuff like this, where we get to be the first ones to look inside of a meteorite that's probably older than any dinosaur fossil. Thanks, guys, for joining me on today's adventure. Keep your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground. And in a world where you can choose to be anything, choose to be kind of a rockhound. Something to point with. I pull a pen up out of the container and there's dust stuck to the bottom of it. Okay. For example, this little armored chondrite, there's dust stuck to the end of that one too. Disgusting. Okay.